Hello and welcome to the Hotkeys podcast, your shortcut to various opinions on all things pop culture. This is the episode for the week of April the 18th, 2021. I am your host for this week, David Parker, and joining me today is...
Landon the Homesteader Browning.
Wil Dobratz.
Colby Chapman.
And Sideways Mick.
Yeah.
Because I'm sideways.
Yeah, for those at home listening, Michael broke his iPad somehow.
No, I'm just sideways.
Shh, don't tell him.
We're not sure
Just
why.
Sideways. Nope, that's it. I'm just sideways.
Yeah, he's just sideways Mick. You can't explain it. There's no logic behind it. He just is.
It just
sideways Mick
is.
just exists.
That's right.
I feel like you have more issues with your iPad trying to record podcast stuff than it is a helpful tool. Is that correct or incorrect?
I blame Discord.
Okay.
Yeah. We never had these problems on Facebook Messenger. So.
Gosh. I've been gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah, welcome back.
You guys had some episodes without me.
That was a fast 2 weeks.
Was it fun? Are you glad? Are you bummed I'm back? Like,
no, I missed you, Dave. I missed you.
Like when any of us else host, it goes down the drain really fast.
No, I liked him. So I listened to both episodes today to edit them and get them posted, and I was laughing a lot. I thought they were really funny.
I'm glad you liked them, Dave.
It was because of my amazing
it was
host
kind of like
job,
our
right?
Yeah, the kingdom had no king while you were gone.
Do you mean the chariot had no, or the horses had no chariot? Is that?
Dude, that's one of the dumbest.
Stop!
I was laughing.
Stop! No,
Like,
that is a valid. That is a valid metaphor.
I had to
metaphor.
pause. I had to pause the podcast, like show it to Bree, my wife, because I was
Will talking about chariots.
I was losing it listening to.
Dude, I was so mad
when
that
Bree
weird
didn't understand, you're like, now dial your IQ down 20 points and see if you understand it now.
Like, that actually upset me. Like, I feel like Will should have just taken the L, but instead he doubled down and we talked about it for like 5-10 minutes.
Every man has to take a stand on one hill.
We'll try to move on. We'll try to move on, but Landon said no. We can't.
Yeah, I did actually. I tried to die and move on, but Landon brought me back from the dead.
Listen, we made a mistake together.
Anyway, I'm glad to be back. I did miss doing the podcast these last 2 weeks, but I was gone. I went on a road trip with Bree for 2 weeks. Originally, we were going to go to Colorado, but we changed up kind of at the last minute, and we did like a southern United States road trip instead. So we were gone for like 2 weeks, and we hit a bunch of states. I finished out my 50 states on this trip. So when I went into West Virginia, I had officially gone to all 50 states.
Are you telling me you popped the Platy?
I did. I got the platinum trophy for United States of America.
Have you gotten the DLC trophies though for like what is it like
Puerto Rico,
and
U.S. Virgin Islands,
Canada,
Guam,
the biggest expansion ever, Canada.
Yeah.
No, that's speculated DLC. Will that's not confirmed yet.
Oh,
the trophy list,
Canada?
dude. The trophy list leaked online. Okay, it leaked. The trophy list leaked, so it has to be.
Is
real.
it legit? Nobody knows.
Isn't Canada just North America?
North United States of
they're
America?
They're not real. I've never been there. Can't be real.
Will was born in Canada, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I was born north of the
spoiler?
United States. Yeah, spoiler
Spoiler alert.
alert.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Leaked plot arc from the new Canada deal.
I don't like when Will tries to flex.
You have to read the
bullshit
Hotkeys podcast
citizenship
book
on
to
us.
get up that
No,
backstory.
I have never flexed dual citizenship in my time
Really?
at the Hotkeys podcast. Never.
Not on the podcast.
Exactly.
But
That's all that
outside.
matters.
No, you were born there because your dad was working there at the time. Is that correct?
Yeah. So he was still an American citizen, working in Canada. So he wasn't a Canadian citizen. But I technically have dual citizenship because I was born in Canada. It's not like active or whatever because I don't pay taxes, but they would recognize it if I wanted to move there.
Nice.
That's cool. That's kind of cool.
So if you had to
you're
like
an alien.
So if America and Canada fought in a bloody war, like who would you side with?
Well,
yeah.
he
Do
probably
you fight with
gets
the
drafted.
Union or do you fight with the Confederacy?
Wait, the U.S.
I stay
Wow,
neutral.
man.
You stay neutral.
Yeah.
You wait to see how it plays out, and then you're like,
Canada will rise again.
Exactly. I pick a side last minute.
Dude, the fact that Canada hasn't tried to take Alaska from the U.S. just shows like how pansy that Canadians really are.
Wait.
Like,
Wait, what do you?
Why would they take Alaska?
First of all, why would they take Alaska? Second of all, why are you trying to crap on Canadians? You know, we probably have
Well, I'm just-
Canadian
it's- no,
listeners
no.
here.
yeah, well,
Do we?
you know what else? I feel the same.
Well, you
way
know
about
what? If you're
Wisconsin
Canadian, you're
not
listening.
taking- I got a special message for you guys. No, but like the same principle for people from Wisconsin. The fact that they didn't take the Upper Peninsula, which is like still considered Michigan. I feel like that just tells you a bunch of cowards that they really are.
I think they used to have the Upper Peninsula, didn't they? And then
I don't know.
it was transferred at some point to Michigan.
And
Doesn't
they
that
never
mean-
took it back.
Doesn't that mean that they're just more about peace rather than taking back things?
No, it means
in
they're
bloody war?
cowards.
Wisconsinites or Canadians?
Canadians.
Wisconsinites.
Wisconsonians? Wisconsinans?
I don't think Wisconsin's real. You know what? I'll say it.
I'll tell you it's real because I've been there. It's one of the
I've
50
never been
states
there.
I visited, Colby. Not on this trip.
That trophy's glitched.
Yeah, even I haven't, and I've never been to Wisconsin, so
Yeah.
who really knows?
Do you know where Wisconsin is, Will?
It's north.
It's north of us.
That's where Dave lives,
no,
right?
No.
Is
It's to the left
north
of Michigan.
Ohio?
The left. It's to the left.
It's to the left of Michigan. That's all I know.
It's funny.
Next question.
I love geography so much. So Will's just
Geography
ignorance
incompetence.
of incompetence of geography it's so baffling to me because I find geography so cool. I mean, Will knows a lot of things I don't know though, so that's okay.
only like
Though how little he knows
the
of
US
geography is
takes geography.
concerning, because
Yeah.
I don't consider myself an expert, but like some of the stuff Will's like throwing out there, I'm like, what?
Like
you don't know where
the
Arizona
Ohio
is? Like,
incident.
I've
Yeah,
never
the great Ohio incident of 2020.
I've never considered myself a man of maps. All right, I'm just gonna be honest.
Man of math.
Will Dobratz, the man of maps.
no.
See, it must run in my blood or something because my dad was a navigator on planes, so his job was looking at maps and charting courses. So maybe it's hereditary or something. Mick, you like maps, right?
Yeah.
Or did
and
I get all of that from our father?
No, I got at least half of it. But we also had some good good training for maps and geography growing up with homeschool stuff.
Oh man, you're
Yeah.
dropping the
I
whole.
feel like the public
Yeah.
education system
Dropping the
failed me
H-bomb.
for geography. It was like
The
color these
public
couple
education
maps.
system failed a lot
Good.
of people on a lot of things, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
doubt that.
Yep.
But I am really glad I wasn't homeschooled. I don't think my parents were capable.
we actually did have some weird emphasis with geography in our schooling. So Mick is right in that. But yeah, we had
It's kind of funny, like
what
weird things that that homeschool parents like decide like certain things are like super important. Like, not saying that geography isn't, but like just like I feel like every homeschool
What was
person I talk
yours?
to,
What was your homeschool quirk?
all of them.
Okay, just one, please.
Civil
Alright.
War history.
That was a big one. Yeah,
No, see,
I knew a lot about the Civil War.
I feel like that really laid the groundwork for
Who
Landon
Landon is today.
and got him where he is today.
Yeah, and then to find out like so much of it. Never mind.
It's funny, like, since my trip was through the South, there was a lot of things that I didn't know what I was going to see, I guess. I didn't see as many Confederate flags as I was expecting, or Dixie flags and stuff like that. But what we did see some. I saw lots of Trump signs driving throughout the South. A couple like Confederate battle flags and things like that. We only saw like 18 Ku Klux Klan members, but that was just at some of the
Only?
rallies we visited. So. No, it was it was pretty tame. The South, it was nice. A lot of stuff was open though, so we were able to do things in the South. So that was cool. So one thing I was looking forward to a lot was like eating on the trip.
Did you go to Waffle House?
No, it was one of the few places we didn't go. I wanted to, but we just didn't get around to it. But there's like I love barbecue, and there's Texas style barbecue and Kansas City style barbecue which is kind of more what we are probably used to. Like if you think of like barbecue sauce, that's like Kansas City style, and that's kind of what we know. And then if you think of Texas style barbecue, which is generally beef, so if you have like beef brisket, that's Texas style. What I hadn't had as much was Memphis and Carolina style, and we drove through Memphis and we went to the Carolinas. So two of the things I was looking forward to a lot was having those styles of barbecue in those places. So that was high priority. Memphis style barbecue, one of their big things is they have pulled pork nachos. Oh, and it was some of the best stuff I had ever had. The barbecue we got there, I would say that's one of the highlights of the trip. I don't know if Bree's asleep or something, but man, it was like
She would agree.
it was also huge. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it was the container was so heavy. We took it back to our hotel room and we just had we had the nachos, we had ribs, like Memphis style ribs, and like shredded pork and stuff. Gosh, it was
That sounds incredible.
thinking about it
I'm
now.
actually feeling joy hearing you describe this.
I'm like smiling right now. I'm like rocking.
Yeah,
out, like,
dude.
So like, you know, if
Oh,
the
man.
boys if the boys want to take a trip to the South someday,
I would
we
absolutely
have to hit up
South.
Memphis
So,
for sure.
funny enough, Landon mentioned Waffle House. Like, I want to,
Yes.
but like a year ago, I was actually looking at like round trip flights for one day, like fly out.
flights.
Is this the origin
I'm going
of
to
like
Waffle
the
House.
extended
No.
trips that Colby's trying to take?
Wait,
Like,
have
I
you
looked at-
changed your trip schedule again?
No. This is totally unrelated. They're just
We're
trying to bully me for no reason.
We're going to
Totally
Tallahassee.
unrelated,
We're not
in air
going to
quotes.
No.
Cancun.
No, I wanted to go to. I just wanted to go to Atlanta, Waffle House, fly back same day, one trip.
Sounds like
That
a
sounds
horrible
expensive.
waste of money.
There's got to be somewhere closer that has Waffle House, right?
I don't know.
I think there's one in Columbus, Ohio, which we drove through and didn't do anything there because it's Ohio, you know. But
Yeah.
we didn't know where Ohio
Where's that,
was,
Will?
so we did go to Atlanta though. We drove through Atlanta. That was a very big city. To go to the Georgia Aquarium, that was really exciting because they had tiger sharks. No,
Whale.
they had whale sharks. They did have tiger sharks also, but the more exciting thing they had there was whale sharks. They had 3 of them in this great big tank, and I think it's the only aquarium in North America that has whale sharks. But those were
How do you think they got them in
big
there, Dave?
fish. How did they get them there?
how'd they do
They
it?
actually showed the containers that they brought them in, huge like shipping style, basically containers that they have.
They built
that they
a
have
river
the whale sharks.
and
they
had them.
forced
Yeah, they swam
swim,
all the way
yeah.
to Atlanta. That I know you guys really like aquariums. Landon, Colby,
Yeah.
and Mick actually had an aquarium escapade last year or something.
Landon's afraid of aquariums, but
But
Not
that,
anymore. I conquered that fear.
it was a huge aquarium. They had like beluga whales. They had a huge shark enclosure with all these different kinds of sharks. They had like a dolphin show like you see in movies and stuff that we went to.
Did you get to swim with the dolphin?
At the dolphin show, like at the beginning, they kind of warn you. They say like the first 10 rows is the splash zone. So
You will get wet.
yeah, you will get wet. Yeah, and they give you that warning like 5 or 10 times or whatever. And Bree and I, we sat in the like 9th or 8th row or something like that. And we're like, it's probably not going to be too bad. If we get a little wet, it's okay. They had the sections separated into 4 different sections, and we were in the 3rd one essentially in the 8th row. So the show starts, and there's like a
And then
little
it
bit of
rained.
splashing and stuff. But probably about halfway into the show, one thing the dolphins do is they kind of swim backwards towards the audience, and then they slap their tails. And the amount of water that they that they launched out of the tank into the audience was immense. So it was not like the wet zone; it was like the soaking wet zone. So we were in the third section. The dolphins were supposed to split up and kind of splash each section, but the dolphin either messed up or decided to like focus on section number 2. And I would say in the course of probably 4 seconds, they're like slapping their tail towards the audience, but it's, these are huge, hundreds and hundreds of pound dolphins that are doing this, multiple, and it basically like, a 20 chairs by 20 chair section. They just obliterated the audience with just I would say hundreds of gallons of water, and like there were kids crying. It was so funny, and people like grabbing their children and like trying to move to different sections, but people weren't supposed to stand up because of like COVID distancing stuff. So you're supposed to stay where you were, but we lucked out where we were because we just got a little wet. But if we had just been one section over in our same like 8th row, we would have been soaked from head to toe, almost like we had jumped in the water and jumped out. But the dolphins, they could like
dolphins
jump out of the water like 20 or 30 feet, and they would bump their nose on these hanging like obstacles and stuff. But yeah, they had dolphins, they had seals and stuff. Was
this SeaWorld you said, or
no? It's called the Georgia Aquarium.
They probably treat their animals just as bad as SeaWorld, don't they? I can't believe you would support the torture of animals.
No, they specifically said on the way in that we are not a SeaWorld affiliate.
Yeah, SeaWorld. Yeah, I've listened to some podcasts about SeaWorld. Like,
so I understand like boycotting SeaWorld and stuff, but I did try and go when I was in San Diego because I still want to go. Like,
were they closed down because like another one of the dolphins like killed them?
No, I just didn't have time. But it was like I understand why people are like trying to boycott them, but I don't know, man. I want to see that show.
Colby says they're just fish.
Yeah, they're just fish. They don't have feeling.
I eat them.
Yeah, they're probably tasty.
One thing I did try to hit on in the trip was visiting certain kind of video game places, which is really dumb, but I still enjoyed it. So, and I kind of sent some pictures to friends as I was visiting. So one of the places we went to was the place that inspired the Braithwaite Manor in Red Dead Redemption 2. And seeing that in person was crazy because it looked like it looked exactly like the line of trees and this giant huge manor and everything. We didn't actually go inside. We were just outside real quick as we were driving somewhere else. But seeing that in person was really, really cool. It was this just giant plantation, and all the trees were really neat. Yeah, all the trees in the South were really cool. In New Orleans, there was this really big park called City Park that was like completely underwater during Katrina, but they pumped all that out, so it's cool now. But it's this huge park just filled with oaks, and they have like a putt-putt golf thing there, and places where people can fish, and there's like a little amusement park. But New Orleans was really cool. I was excited to go down there, but I didn't have very big expectations. But I actually really liked New Orleans. It was one of the coolest places of the whole trip. The French Quarter was really neat. It was really old. There were some really cool museums there that talked a lot about like the War of 1812 with Andrew Jackson. When he fought there. I don't know. It was a long time ago though.
1813, somewhere around there.
There was this interesting part of the museum that was dedicated to Katrina though too, the hurricane and the impacts of what it did to the city. And that's something I remember when it happened in real life. I was younger, so I kind of just followed some stuff on the news. But like the what the actual impact was like was hard to understand until I was at the museum that kind of explained what happened, and being in the city too, kind of having an understanding of just how devastating it was to this giant place where people live, because it's something like 80% of the city was underwater. And New Orleans is a huge city that's kind of in the middle of this swamp that's kind of isolated from everything else. So like driving there, like we're in Louisiana, kind of like in the backwoods of like just swampland, basically in the delta of the Mississippi River. And it's kind of just there's not much around, and then you suddenly get to this like megapolis, kind of this huge city that you realize was just completely destroyed almost by this devastating hurricane. And it's crazy to kind of picture. You guys should look at some pictures and videos from the after effects of it. Because it was very, very interesting. It was kind of eye-opening to realize how crazy something that nature can do to a place where humans live. That was something really interesting with New Orleans was that museum that talked about the Hurricane Katrina. There's also like we went to a jazz club there that night, so we got to see like authentic New Orleans jazz late at night in the middle of the French Quarter.
That sounds awesome.
That was really cool too. I really liked that. The city, it was a cool place. Like I think you guys would all like the city. It was a really cool place, I think, to go with friends. But
Cool.
sorry, I've been talking a lot about the trip. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about right now?
Trip's pretty cool.
Did I talk about the other
went 2 weeks
barbecue?
Oh man, I feel like it's gonna
Yeah, so there's
reaction out of me.
Carolina barbecue was good. Theirs is a little different. It's not like a red sauce like you think. It's more like a vinegar based sauce. We had it, so they use basically the whole pig and kind of just cut it up and
Mush
then
it.
eat it. Yeah. Mush it, and then it's like a vinegar based sauce. But that was really good. We also had the best cornbread I have ever had in North Carolina, and I don't know if I'll be able to have cornbread anywhere else now, because it wasn't just the best cornbread I've ever had. It was like miles above.
Like now, if you have cornbread everywhere else, you're just gonna laugh. You're gonna scoff at it.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's just this one place that had this great cornbread. But
Colby,
man.
you're gonna have to fly to North Carolina to get your cornbread now?
Yeah, Colby's gonna have to fly to North Carolina to get his cornbread. He's gonna have to fly to Atlanta to go to the museum or go to the aquarium and get the Waffle House food. So wait, is Waffle House, is that just like a South thing? I guess I didn't really know much about it. Landon, or you, someone who knew about Waffle
I'm
House?
not well versed in it. I'm not well. I've just heard people talk about it like it's like
I know
a place
that-
you have to eat if you go south. Like
Yeah,
'cause of the
I mean they're in
breakfast food.
Texas and that area.
I know they're 24 hours. Like they're all open 24 hours
Oh, dude,
a day.
that's what I'm talking about. That's some diner food. I love diner food. Like
So you don't even
3
have to
3
schedule
a.m.
the
diner
flight
food.
around a certain time. Like you don't have to schedule it around business hours. 24 hours. You can get a red eye down
Colby,
there and get breakfast.
After this,
Fly
Colby, we'll find the closest Waffle House to you, and then we'll try to plan a Waffle House trip.
I'm gonna look right now. Are you kidding?
Keyboard goes Waffle House.
Waffle House.
The first day of our trip, we went because we just drove south from Grand Rapids to St. Louis, so we went to like the arch, the Gateway Arch. We didn't go to the top because they were sold out like days in advance, but they had this huge museum underneath that was basically about kind of America's expansion to the West, which was kind of good explanation of basically from colonial America to the current time of kind of like our history of heading west. And then there was a section about the building of the Gateway Arch as well. But I love museums, so any museum I could get into, that's kind of what I was looking forward to for a lot of this trip. But in St. Louis, we also went to this place called the Public Museum, which was kind of this almost adult, not adult. Adult sounds like a.
Where'd you go, Dave?
No, I was gonna say like an adult theme park, but that sounds bad. I mean, like
That sounds
Yeah,
That sounds really bad.
yeah, that sounds bad.
Are you talking about like Dave and Buster's like adult?
Yeah, I just mean like the and kids could go here too at this adult theme park. I need to think of a better way to describe this. So it's kind of this just big playground, this huge playground that takes up this big building in downtown St. Louis, but they have a 10-story slide that you can ride. Bree and I did that. It's just this long circular spiral slide that takes up like 10 stories of this old factory in this building. How
long does it take to slide down it?
It was a good probably 20 to 40 seconds depending on how much you brace yourself on the way down.
Yeah.
The line for that was really long, so that was the bummer
Was it
about
worth it?
I thought so. It was really fun. It was definitely the longest slide I've ever been on. But they have like a rooftop Ferris wheel, and there's lots of slides and things to climb in. They have these artificial caves in the basement of the building. That's just like these big expansive caves. They had this replica of a whale, like a life-size whale that you could walk through, and you could climb through basically the innards of this whale. So I felt like I was in Kingdom Hearts, in Monstro or whatever.
Monstro, yeah, Monster World.
And then they have this kind of just giant playground on the outside of the building that's like, it's literally the fuselages of planes and cranes and everything just all welded together. That's 2 to 3 stories high. There's like these fake castles that are built outside, and they just slowly have added on to this playground for years now. But that was kind of a really cool experience. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of that, but that was another thing that I think could be fun for the boys to look at.
The boys
someday.
go to the adult playground with
No.
Dave?
I need to think of a better way to.
We all take a trip.
I need to think of a better way to describe it. It's a non-child playground. Lots of
The rated R playground.
gosh. Okay. I'll move on.
You gotta figure that out.
Yeah. I'll figure that out at some point. Yes, Michael.
Oh, go ahead. No.
I was going to say we went to Kitty Hawk in North Carolina, so we saw where the Wright brothers flew their first plane.
Did you get to fly it?
Yeah, it was crazy. We got farther than Wilbur and Orville. It's funny. It's funny though, because you can see they have like a rock that shows where the first flights took off, because they had this track essentially that they kind of just zoomed off of, and then they have 4 rocks, because on that day they took 4 flights. And so the first flight was like 112 feet or something, which when you're a little kid and you hear about that, you're like, wow, that's so far. And then now you know that 112 feet is nothing. And when you're out there, like, you walk basically from the takeoff point to where they landed in like just like
You
less
scoff.
yeah, it's like 15 to 30 seconds of walking.
Yeah.
But and then the fourth flight of that day, they actually flew like 900 feet or something. So then the first 3 stones are pretty close to each other, and then finally they got the hang of it and they had a big flight. But being there was really cool. They had like a replica of the first flyer that they had, and they had another museum that kind of talked about their kind of that decade or so where they were dedicated to developing their plane that was able to sustain flight. So I like planes. I like flying and stuff. So that was something I was excited to hit up in North Carolina. I guess they went there because there was like crazy winds, and there's this giant sand dune in North Carolina that kind of almost looked like a desert depending on certain points of where you are, and
Like
it was
straight out of Dune. Like
yeah, kind of.
the
It
book,
was
yeah.
I was like the spice. It was so windy though. It seemed like as I was walking through the dunes with Bree, I was like, yeah, this is a perfect place to try to fly
Don't
a plane
attract the worm,
or
dude.
fly a kite. The maker. The place we were staying was called Nag's Head. It's on these like barrier islands of North Carolina, but they had a lot of cool putt-putt golf stuff. So as we kept driving up and down the Outer Banks, I kept seeing places, and I was like, another place boys got to visit. We got to do our putt-putt tour. But they had quite a few kind of really fancy looking putt-putt golf places. Bree and I stopped at one of them, and then we played a few rounds. Had to practice.
Quick 18.
Yeah,
quick 18.
we played the same 18 holes twice.
Did you par it? Did you do better the second time?
I did do better the second time. I did not
Nice.
par it either time, so I didn't get the trophy.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to go back
of
at some
course,
point
dang.
to hit those up.
I would like to touch on something real quick. Looks like the closest Waffle House is in Colorado. I think I'd rather
Denver
go to
game?
Arizona though.
Denver game? Anybody want to go to a Denver Broncos game with me? It's Waffle House.
No.
Oh, all right.
You can go with like the waiter we had at that restaurant yesterday.
That was
Ooh.
a big Broncos fan.
You met some like
Yeah.
super Broncos fan?
Yeah, he was our waiter. He saw Will's lanyard. And he goes, "Oh, are you a Broncos fan?" And then they proceeded to nerd out and like be really annoying.
Dude, you only
I meant
say that because you got
it was
insulted.
super
You got
cool.
insulted.
It was. He said he didn't like Seahawks fans, dude. That's because you got slaughtered in Super Bowl.
No, it's because they're sometimes really annoying when they're like Seahawks. And it's like, oh my gosh, we get it.
You
We get
live
it.
you live in the wrong place then, Will. You need to move back to Canada.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, dude, go watch the CFL.
No, I'm not gonna watch CFL. I'm not that Canadian.
Anyway, putt golf. I just wanted to share Waffle House like plans in the works. You know, let's check out some flights.
I had chicken and waffles, I think, once or twice on the trip. There's a
Chicken and
couple
waffles
places.
so good.
Did you get grits?
I did get grits.
I want to try grits so bad, like real Southern grits.
Yeah, I think the place we went to was called like Grits and More or something like that.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it had grits
great
in the
name.
name of the diner that we went to.
That's when you know you're gonna get food if it's literally the name of the restaurant. It's like they specialize in that for sure.
One of the other highlights. This was a little different, but I got to see an old friend. I saw friend Alex, who he used to live in Spokane. He was like,
And now we talk like this.
he was my age, he's my age, and so we went to like we did some school stuff together and did youth group together and stuff like that. And his dad was also in the Air Force, and then he moved away.
Wait, you guys are the same age, so you're in the same grade then?
We're not in the same grade because we're both like almost 30 now.
But you were in the same grade.
But
at
he moved away
okay,
in like 2009 or something. He moved away in like 2009 or something, and then we got to go see him. So that was really cool to kind of reminisce with an old friend.
I think he moved in 2010,
and get to see him. So that was a I would say highlight of the trip as well.
See someone.
Yeah, to see
to
see someone you haven't seen in such a long time, and then we kind of like got back into it right away. It was
You just picked it up right after.
yeah, I picked it up right there.
I think that's the mark. of a
That's
really
always the
close
fear,
friend.
right? That
That's-
like it's just it's weird. Like you like see them, they're like, oh hey, like, and it feels forced. And
Yeah,
like,
I guess
gotta get out
I
of
could.
here,
There's
but-
some people I could kind of like have that fear with. I kind of was expecting that we were gonna kind of just like hit it off right away. So that was really fun. It was we kind of just like reminisced about stuff, and then he's a physical therapist, and he works with people's joints and stuff. But he has like he bought a house, so he was showing me stuff around his house and stuff he's been working on and things. He's really into woodworking, so he basically had like all this stuff around his house that he'd worked on that he showed me. So like every room he had 2 or 3 things that basically he had made in his house. So I was walking around being like, man, like I'm like this man is showing me all this stuff, and I'm just this little boy.
Like, I got some Lego sets at home. Like,
he showed me. He's like, yeah, here's my room where I have my PS4. I don't get to play on it. I don't play on it that much because he's playing through Red Dead right now. So while I play video games, he is in the garage like doing manly stuff, making things. But that
like
was
a real man.
Yeah, like a real man. But I wish he could have spent more time together. But he had work, and then we had to keep going. But that was a big highlight of the trip for sure.
We should get him on the podcast at some point.
I would ask him to be on the podcast. I mean, he's also a busy man though, so he's might be harder to.
But he'll make time for us.
You guys can just
hope
reminisce
so.
about like childhood stories and stuff.
can he fix my knee, please? Like
Maybe.
can he fix
I mean,
me?
gosh.
Please?
I don't think one man can fix you, Landon.
Yeah,
I
Landon.
just want him to
Landon.
fix part of me.
He might take one look at you and be like, "You're not fixable."
Landon, I think you're looking for the wrong type of therapist right now, man. Like,
Yeah, you need the one that helps your brain, that lets you cope with the fact that you will never have a working knee again.
What's the Bane quote?
Mick, what's the Bane quote? We need the Bane quote of the day.
Wait, what is it?
Like, what breaks first, his mind or his body or whatever? I can't
Body
remember
or
how it
spirit.
goes.
I was wondering what would break first. Yes.
Do you just have a Pringles can there, just ready for any
Ready.
Bane
Dude,
quotes?
it's my Bane Pringles can, you know?
Oh
What's
gosh.
up?
Was it barbecue flavor?
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
You two, seriously.
Yeah.
One thing. One place I was really looking forward to going to was Washington D.C., which I haven't been to before, but I like all the monuments and stuff, and was really looking forward to that. So we basically just drove through real quick on our way to West Virginia. So we saw the National Mall at like midnight. So we walked through all the monuments. There were no people around, which is really nice, and then everything was kind of like eerily quiet, which I really prefer. It made kind of like the grandness of the monuments, I think, even better. The Lincoln Memorial at night was really cool because the building that the statue's in, of the Lincoln Memorial, is just giant. And there's, you have the Gettysburg Address and everything up there, so you can read that. But it was kind of a cool, kind of quiet place that was kind of I thought very thought-provoking.
Right.
If that's the best way to put it. But we saw like the Capitol and the Washington Monument and everything, Jefferson Memorial.
Do you see Sleepy Joe's house?
Yeah, we did see it. Yeah, he was sitting outside, rocking back and forth, like drinking his tea,
Sleeping?
like trying not to die, basically, from old age.
Said some incoherent sentence.
Yeah, he said
You guys
something.
pull
Yeah,
around.
yeah, he said like something vaguely like that
Said
you could
something
take.
about his leg hair.
Yeah, that you could
Like-
take maybe in like the wrong sort of way. But then he went back like with his nightcap on and then went to sleep.
His nightcap.
Yeah, I could totally imagine him in like the old school like striped pajamas, like with the nightcap.
Yeah.
I do want to go back at some point because there's lots of cool museums in Washington D.C. Most of them were closed due to COVID, so we essentially just kind of drove through there to get to West Virginia, which is kind of do you guys know about the Greenbrier? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm uneducated.
It's this 5-star hotel that's like hundreds of years old that's in the Appalachian Mountains, kind of near the Blue Ridge Mountains. But it's this huge grand hotel that in the 1960s they built the congressional bunker underneath the hotel, like secretly. And then for 30 years it was basically this kind of almost like this bug out bunker for Congress if crap went down at like a nuclear level. So it was the secret bunker that they built under the hotel to house all of Congress. In 1962 is when they completed it. And it's something that I had read about like decades ago. And I always wanted to go to this bunker. And so one of the places, this was like one of the top things on my list, is I want to go to this hotel and I want to do this tour of the congressional bunker. So that's one thing. After we went to D.C., we drove through Shenandoah National Park, which was really beautiful, and then made it to this like the fanciest hotel I've ever seen in the mountains of West Virginia, and then went into this congressional bunker, which is this huge concrete bunker that could house 1,000 people basically.
How much did it cost to rent that out for the night? Going to
The whole
sleep in
bunker.
the bunker.
Yeah. It's probably not cheap. Like walking the grounds of the actual hotel. I was wondering how much. I asked Brie. I said, "How much do you think it would cost to get married at this place?" Because it's like the grandest hotel you can imagine. It's basically where like U.S. presidents would go to stay for vacation. So we did not stay the night at that hotel. We just visited there for the day to see the resort.
I mean, that makes sense.
And then did the bunker tour there. But that was also the 50th state. So I was excited to get to West Virginia because that completed the 50 states. I got to see the hotel and the bunker I'd wanted to see for forever. But we finished that up, and then we drove through Columbus, Ohio, which was a crap hole, and then got home.
Hating on them.
It was fun. Okay, so like all of West Virginia was gorgeous, like the mountains and everything. So you cross this bridge over the Ohio River to get into Ohio, and like right away you're like, something's not right here. Like even if you didn't see the signs that said like "Welcome to Ohio," it was like markedly like just. It was like a sharp nosedive, but driving
feel
through,
your mood just go down. Like
kind of fits with the football teams that are there, right? Like
yeah, but yeah, West Virginia. It was a pretty small state, and then the west side of regular Virginia were gorgeous. It was probably like the prettiest part of our entire trip. The mountains there and the trees there were just absolutely stunning. Like that's a place as we got there, I was like, I could see myself living in this part of the country. But that was, I think, the best part of the trip for me.
To be a game developer?
It was a good, it was a good kind of capstone to the trip, if you don't count Columbus. But I counted West Virginia as the end of the trip because I'd been to Ohio anyway. And Ohio really was just the drive-through state to get back home to Michigan. But
Will right now is like, so you were on the West Coast and you didn't stop by.
Will's like trying to plot. He's closing his eyes. He's like doing calculus and everything, like trying to figure out like where is it? Ohio's upside down in his mind.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much my trip. So it was a long 2 weeks.
Will episode week 2.
Yeah. I came back. Listened to a lot of podcasts. I listened to a podcast about the French Revolution, so that was actually also another highlight of my trip.
Nerd.
I was never that interested in the French Revolution. I thought it was kind of dumb.
Nerd alert!
Until I listened to the podcast, and I was like, man, this is like the coolest revolution
that one
ever.
went south. Like
Yeah, it went
Crazy.
south like 8 different ways too. Anyway, but now I'm back, so now I can go back. Now I can go back to work tomorrow.
Go back to work.
Or today,
you're
because
excited.
now it's technically Monday.
How excited are you to go back to work?
I'm so
You really?
flipping excited.
Thrilled. You sound thrilled.
I actually,
always.
I lucked out the 2 weeks I chose to go on vacation because the first week they had like mandated overtime for people, and I would have been the people that would have had mandated overtime. So it would be 12 extra hours.
Are gonna hate you.
Would have been 12
your
extra
coworkers
hours
are gonna hate you.
for that
52-hour
week.
weeks?
And then last week, like last Friday, which I was at the Aquarium, I got a text from my boss, and just to let you know, we're having mandated overtime next week. Starting Tuesday, you're going to do this, and it's going to be 12 extra hours, and blah blah blah. So I messaged her back and I said, so by next Tuesday, do you mean the 20th? Because I'm still on vacation.
Dave said,
I'm not going to work overtime next week because I'm not there. And she's like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize that you were still on vacation. And I didn't get a text this week, so like for 2 weeks in a row,
yeah, you better be back at work.
there's 2 weeks in a row they had this mandated overtime, and I just happened to luck out. So it looks like I had some kind of insider information that I just like the
Like
2
I said,
weeks.
your coworkers are going to resent you. They're going to resent you.
Probably, yeah. That's
those
okay.
people now had to work like 60-hour weeks because of you. Like, more work, less people.
Dave walks into the office. Hey guys, I had a great vacation.
Oh,
you guys all look super tired.
They're like, look at this house I took a picture of from a video game.
I went to the place where Fallout 3 took place. See, look. I went to the bunker in Fallout 76. Yeah, I just did all the Fallout stuff. Anyway, that was
like
my
a great
trip.
trip,
So, what did you guys do these last or this? Oh, we have Falcon Winter Soldier. I guess we can talk about that real quick.
That's cool.
No, not interested.
Yeah, I want Colby's opinion first before anyone else speaks.
I'll go last.
No, please.
So it sounded like people liked this week's episode, so I also liked this week's episode. I definitely watched it, and I'm up to date.
All right, how about someone who watched it?
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I still continue to think that John Walker is one of my favorite new characters they've added to the cinematic universe.
Yeah, he's great.
He's awesome.
John Walker
He's so
is
good.
John Walker's the best character in that show, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
I would agree
no.
with that.
Yeah, he is. He's
I think I
totally-
would agree with that.
This entire series rides and dies for me on how they treat John Walker in this final episode. The entire series rides on that.
Yeah, they better not. They better not kill him. Like,
Yeah, I
I'll
hope
be
they
so
don't.
Mad. If they kill him, I'll be so
if they
mad.
if they
They're-
if they do he's the real villain and the terrorists will have to team up against with Bucky and like I don't know to battle John Walker, I'm gonna be so mad.
I would
They'll
also
probably-
be super mad.
They'll probably keep him and make him go to the Thunderbolts because the chick from Seinfeld, I think she's in charge of,
That was such a
of the
pleasant
organization.
Okay, Michael, who is that in the comics? Because I didn't know.
I don't know who that is. She's in the comics, but I don't know it that well to know who she is. But I know she is from the comics.
Okay.
But they might be using her to.
Michael glitched out for me. I don't know if he glitched out for anyone
Yeah,
else.
he's
Yeah.
froze.
But yeah,
But he just stopped.
yeah. Julia Louis-Dreyfus showed up for like a minute basically, and kind of was this sort of
Hello?
menacing
No.
character.
Oh, you're back.
Did I disappear for a little bit?
Yes, you disappeared just for a little
Oh,
bit.
sorry. Hey, I'm up straight, Mick. Now.
You were talking about Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Whoa.
You were talking about Julia Louis-Dreyfus
yeah.
character, right?
Yeah. I think she'll be kind of the Nick Fury of the Thunderbolts. So getting that group together.
And the Thunderbolts are like the neutral, like not good, not bad kind of Avengers, right?
Kind of more anti-hero.
Wait, so
Character.
she's the Amanda Waller of the Thunderbolts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. John Walker rocks. The opening scene where he like kind of runs in the warehouse and he's kind of having like a meltdown and he's like, time to go to work, and it's like, oh yeah, and then they have that fight scene was awesome. Him versus Bucky and Sam.
Oh, both of them.
They
That was
nerfed
great.
Bucky so hard in the show. Like he's just he loses every fight he's ever
Yeah.
in. It's insane.
He's an old man. He's an old man.
I guess so, but he's the Winter Soldier, and he's just like, oh no, my arm.
But he's decommissioned, you know.
I
So
Did anyone else?
I
like,
also think
get,
it comes
like,
down to-
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like John Walker also. I mean, before he was took the serum, he was like already an exceptional like fighter and like I guess
Yeah.
human specimen. So it makes sense that he would be able to beat Bucky. I think in that sense.
and he had the shield, so you know.
Yeah, I'm Captain America.
What were you saying, Michael?
Oh, did anyone else get like Toy Story vibes when Bucky's arm fell off? Like he was holding it like Buzz.
Hi there, Bucky. I did not get those vibes watching it, but now you know I can
Yep.
totally
I'm
understand.
surprised no one's like made a meme about that.
Quick, make one before we release the episode. You know,
Yeah,
get on
make-
top
take
of
credit.
that.
You don't want somebody stealing your idea.
Also,
Yeah,
also the
I'll
scene-
be honest. The first 3 episodes I thought were extremely slow and boring. It was the last 2 episodes that I was like, okay, yeah, I'm getting into this, and I agree. I think John Walker, his character, is the most interesting part of the show. I think.
I don't know. I don't think anyone had
I
challenged
think-
you yet on this, because I just listened to it, and that's the criticism that I keep hearing from Michael about the episode. Which my first thought, and you know, this is just maybe this is a David thing, but I find it funny that Michael finds Falcon and Winter Soldier like slow and boring, and then he loves the Snyder cut of the Justice League. But I don't know if it's just because they were
Can we
released so close
we cut
together
this?
that.
Can we cut this? Can we
That's
cut
the good thing. That's the good thing about subjectivity. So you don't like Snyder Cut, I do. That's fine.
That's just why I thought it was
You
funny.
find things boring that I like. I find things that I like that you think are boring. That's fine.
When did the show pick up for you then?
The
said,
last
like,
2
episode
episodes.
4 and
Episode
5.
4, I thought was like, okay, I can get into this. The first 3, I thought were very boring and slow.
I don't know.
I've liked
in,
it.
in-
I've liked it all.
Yeah, in my opinion, like the first 3 episodes, especially the first one, really helped set up the series. But I understand what you're saying, Michael.
Yeah.
Because I
Well,
really
and
like.
the fourth episode, there is that turn
Yeah,
with John Walker that I think. I mean, it's worth putting up with those first 3 episodes to get to that point. But yeah, they're still boring. But these last 2 episodes, I'm like getting into, and you know, I want to see where they go with it.
Yeah.
I think there's only one episode left, so
Yeah, there's only one more.
it should be good.
Comes out really soon. So,
Yeah.
a quick question. What do you guys think of Zemo's involvement in this series? Because he kind of made
Worthless.
a swift
It was pointless
exit.
having him there. There was no reason to have him there.
I really like.
I was gonna say
stupid.
I like Zebo. I liked the scene
He's
where
awesome.
he comes across the serum. And,
Oh yeah, he's smashing it. Yeah.
yeah, and there's like a small part of me that was like, is he gonna take the serum? Is that what they're either trying to make us think he's gonna do, or but like there was like just a little glint in his eye, and then he just like starts smashing, just smashing.
I think
I was
it
like, oh
plays
yeah,
into-
like there we go.
It plays into when he asked Falcon, like, "Oh, would you take the serum?" And he said, and then Falcon's character said no. And I think Zemo says something along the lines of like, "Oh, no hesitation." That's
that's
a
good.
lot of respect for me, or
Yeah.
something like that. Which I love
I
Zemo's
thought-
character. He's amazing and awesome. And I
I've
think-
liked Zemo a lot. I think behind John Walker, I think he's my next
Number
favorite
2.
character in this show.
And then I think for me, number 3 is Bucky. Bucky is great too.
I've actually liked
think-
all the characters.
I think Bucky has probably had some of the best moments in the show next to like John Walker.
Yeah.
I like the flashback with him in Wakanda realizing that he doesn't have that Winter Soldier programming in his head anymore. I thought that was a really good scene.
That was pretty powerful. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I thought Zemo was just kind of like there for their sake. So
I'm not a fan of what's her
Sharon
char-
Carter.
Yeah. So like I feel like they need to do something interesting with her, like turn her into
Well,
the
she's
villain
a
or
full-blown
reveal
criminal.
that she's like is straight
power
up
broker.
bad.
he'll probably be the power broker.
I'm hoping that's the case. If it's not, I guess I would kind of see her maybe more as UC Zemo, as kind of like sort of useless and just there to be there.
It makes no sense that she did not get a deal and everybody else did. That's so stupid. Like they just forgot about her.
It is kind of weird.
Like,
Like especially Bucky got a deal. Like
oh,
Yeah,
for
Bucky,
sure.
he
yeah.
straight up
But-
murdered a bunch of people. Like,
I want to also point like that great point, Michael. This show has like signs of brilliance. Like wow, that's awesome. And then there's other
Yeah.
times where it's like this writing sucks. There's no
Yeah.
reason for this and this and this. Like it just is. It's like how the Falcon or not the Falcon, how the Winter Soldiers like got trained, like got the mind thing trained out of him. It's like they give no explanation as to how, why. It's just resources and time, and it's just like okay, like
Yeah.
I gotta accept that, and that wouldn't be a big deal on its own. But those things start to add up really quickly for me. Like
Yeah.
that Sharon Carter not getting a deal. There was another one with Zemo, I think, where I can't remember exactly. I had another complaint, but
It's his Turkish delight fetish.
but like these little things are
Irresistible.
kind of adding up for me that make the show a little less than amazing. It's great, but
I mean, I wouldn't describe the show as amazing. I think it's a fun show. I would agree with a comment that Landon made last week, which was that he liked WandaVision better. Which so far I've enjoyed WandaVision
Same.
more. There have been certain moments though in Falcon and Winter Soldier that has been really really cool and really fun.
yeah,
I
I think it's sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna kind of echo the thing about like John Walker. I think so far has been kind of the most interesting element of this show. So
Yeah,
Okay.
this show and WandaVision have revitalized my interest in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was starting to kind of like
Check
after
out.
Endgame. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I after Endgame, like I'd kind of missed like the past like 4 before Endgame, and I'm like movies that had came out. I'm like, all right, I watched Endgame. I'm like, all right, cool. And I was about ready to be like, all right, I'm probably done. And then these shows came out. And I watched them with almost no expectation. And I was like, oh, these are actually like, really good. If this is the direction they keep going, I'm kind of back in. So
I think it's smart for them to go to a TV show format just to change it up that much more. So I think that helps too.
Okay. I have a question, really quick question on Falcon the Winter Soldier for you guys. So in the newest episode, Walker gets really reprimanded by literally everyone about his actions, right? His slaughter of the terrorist in
his discharge.
or his discharge. It's not dishonorable. It's something other than dishonorable. He gets like those are the consequences of his actions, and you have even Sam say, oh, they might not dishonorably discharge you considering your past merits. What is the difference, do you think, between John Walker killing that dude in public versus the first scene that we see in the show with Falcon going and killing all of these guys with like the helicopter, and that scene where he has to rescue, I think it's Danny, his friend or whatever, or with Danny has to rescue something. What do you think is the difference between?
I think part of it is just that's the show's story, so it works that way. But I think also it's in context. It's like the guy is on the ground, he's given up basically, and he still gets killed in a pretty brutal way in front of everybody watching. No one's filming Falcon, killing a bunch of people, skydiving and stuff. You know what I mean? So I think I think it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I think too,
they
it's
even
just
kind
like,
of address that too. Like the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character's like, she's like, they're not mad that you did it. Like they're mad that everybody saw you do it. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
which I guess I don't know. I'm just confused by the show's stance on killing and war, because you see Falcon and even Sharon Carter just dismantling these people, just slaughtering them by the legions.
I think every MCU character except for Spider-Man kills people. I mean,
yeah.
Captain America killed people. Tony's killed people. Like, everyone's killed people in the MCU, basically.
I think, too, it had to do with the fact specifically that it was the symbolism behind the character that we see in public doing it. So the fact that it is Captain America that committed the violent public murder, versus Falcon, who did, non-public murders.
I guess.
If you're gonna murder,
yes, I totally understand that, but I guess I would be more interested in how, because they chip at it a little with what they're trying to get at, right? I think John Walker's like, you created me.
yeah, that's a great scene.
He's
like, I did everything you guys.
asked me to.
Really good.
I think I'd rather have them highlight the hypocrisy of like the people above him and what they want, even though his actions were a little were not good when were gray, and it ends up like a public execution, and they suddenly turn on him, even though he's like, I would have loved to see them explore that and how that kind of breaks his character, which we might still get, but there's only like one episode left, so I'm scared. But rather than just completely condemning his actions. And I don't know, so I'm confused on this. So I don't know if the show is trying to say that or if it's saying something different.
When I think, too, that killing scene was also meant for us, the viewer. It was supposed to be like the opposite of what happened in Civil War with Iron Man and Captain America at the end. Captain America goes up in that same motion, about to like end Tony, and he sticks it in the Iron Man suit once, and he's done. This was supposed to be like the polar opposite of that, I think. So I think it was also for us to see how different John Walker is from Steve Rogers.
I think
too. I was kind of thinking the same thing.
I think too, the response to what happened seemed a little unrealistic to me. It is a show, and we're not sure what would happen in real life if something like this happened.
And it's a comic book show.
And it's a comic book, but
there are people that have super strength serum, Dave.
But I feel
it doesn't have to be realistic.
But I feel like if something were like this to happen, more realistically, what I would expect is that they would just strip him of the Captain America thing, and then he would just go back to being some kind of other person in the military or something. But basically, him being like completely removed from it, them like specifying like no benefits, like all that seemed a little too much. It's like I felt like they did him kind of dirty, but almost too dirty, to the point where it's like, look how much we are screwing over John Walker, to the point that it seemed a little unrealistic in that regard. I think they could have kind of had the same sort of effect on him by not doing him as dirty.
If it's never happened in real life, what are you relating it to?
I don't know, just intuition.
Intuition. It's just one of those things that it just.
I mean, he killed a terrorist. He didn't kill
it wasn't like an innocent
civilian.
Person. Like he killed someone. Like that guy was involved in a bombing days earlier. Killed like a few people. So
Like that's kind of my
And
point.
it's the
where
U.S.
like,
military. Like, you sweep things under the rug. You don't like.
That's
They
my
could've
point.
spun
It's
that.
like
They
they
could've
could have
spun
spun
that.
that
They
so
could've
hard.
Yeah.
They could have spun
Oh,
it
yeah.
so hard. Where
So-
it's just like, oh, he was justified in killing this terrorist. Boom, still Captain America.
yeah, so-
I think I might actually have preferred that to be a little more interesting.
Yeah, the response seemed overboard, and in that sense, it seemed too cheesy to me to try to basically force his hand to become this guy who's literally taking his medals of honor to make his own shield. So, it seemed like a little too much in that regard. I would have liked it if it was a little pulled back as to the military's response to how they dealt with him in that situation. So. Anyway, I mean, I don't have anything to base it off of it other than it just seemed not terribly realistic. I mean, the show is not that realistic in a lot of other things, but there's like superheroes, super soldier serum.
The fact that Sam Wilson can go up against super soldiers just because he has a jetpack, like that doesn't make any sense.
But this was like human interaction.
Dude
stuff
can't even
that,
beat Ant-Man. Like,
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the last episode, so that'll be cool next
I
week.
wonder how. Yeah. Hopefully it treats everything like I want it to, else I hate it and boycott Disney forever. Anyway.
Whoa.
Until the next show that comes out.
Ever?
Yeah, then I'll buy in.
We're sorry we're running a little long, but real quick, Landon, you talked about this the last 2 weeks, but now this week officially.
I got the keys to the house.
He got the keys to the house. He closed the house. Landon's a real man now.
I had the cashier's check made for the down payment. It
$100.
hurt a little bit. Yeah, it hurt a little bit.
But money wasn't tight, so
No. So,
It is now.
So now the next 30 weekends, Landon's just gonna be working on his house.
yeah, mostly. Yeah, I spent
Yeah.
about probably 10 hours there yesterday. I spent 7 hours there today, I think. So
Dang.
I'm really looking forward to hearing about how much work Landon is.
well, that's a
putting
new
into this house.
homeowner, I mean, everything's just kind of different now.
It's
so,
definitely not going to get really annoying. He's definitely not going to complain about how he doesn't have time to do other things anymore. And he's just going to, the words he's going to use is, I'm burned out, I'm shot, homeowner Landon. It's going to be bad. It's going to be terrible.
No, I'm house poor.
Landon buying a
Just
house.
gotta make the mortgage.
Dude, I
gotta
think
make the mortgage payment,
I
man.
think I'm
Like,
just going to cut Landon
they're
off.
gonna turn the
till his
water
house
off.
is done.
They're gonna turn the water off, man. Like,
And right click on Landon and meet.
All right. Well, congratulations, Landon, on becoming a
Thanks.
man. Anything else you guys want to?
that's not out of context.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before we close up tonight?
Yeah, I want to mention one thing really quick. I got gifted a game by Oliver. It's called Before Your Eyes, and it's on Steam. And the reason I want people to experience it blind, but you control the game by blinking.
What?
What?
So you have a webcam set up, and it'll register your blinks, and you control the game through various functions by blinking at stuff. And the way it uses it is really cool, and I would highly recommend it for literally anyone. Anyway.
You and Oliver got webcams and you're sending each other online gifts, dude? Like, what's going on, man?
What?
Well, is it like an RPG? Like a
No, it's a very
Novel?
linear kind of. If you've ever played Journey,
Telltale
or if
game.
you've
Oh,
ever
like Journey.
played a game where it's super linear and it's more of an experience rather than a game.
My eyes already hurt thinking
have to
about
blink
how much
fast?
I have
I
to
don't-
blink.
The quick time events are crazy.
Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but
right,
the way
left,
the
right,
game
right, left, blink.
uses blinking, it's really unique, and I've never played a game like it. And I would
It's like Guitar
highly recommend
Hero,
it.
but with blinking.
Oh, dude.
yeah. So just wanted to plug that.
Okay,
cool.
I'll look into it.
Let us know how you like it.
Well, if there's nothing else, thank
What?
you for listening.
I've already
to this.
beaten it.
What?
Oh,
How, is it? It's a quick game.
It's an hour and a half. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So that's why I thought Colby was talking to David. Like, let us know how you like it.
Hey, you
I'm like,
blink and it's over. Like,
Gosh, dang it.
can we just end? Can we just end?
Yeah, please.
I'm cool with that. Yeah, we just.
That was horrible. Get us out of here.
We can cut Landon's
Thanks,
comment.
Landon. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Hotkeys podcast. We'll be back next week to talk more about blinking and barbecue and video game places and the
Waffle
last
House,
episode
baby.
of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, thank you. Bye.
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 Should we go to Arizona to get Waffle House? Or
Let's do it. I'm booking a flight.
Gosh, Landon,
Right
I hope
now.
you
I'll look at flights
cry
right
yourself to sleep tonight.
he probably will.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Hotkeys podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Castbox, YouTube, and other podcasting platforms. Visit our website, www.hotkeyspodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Hotkeys Podcast and join our Facebook group at facebook.com/HKHotkeys. Please like and review us and subscribe to the show on whichever platforms you use. Finally, you can contact us via email at hosts@hotkeyspodcast.com.